China is bad. China is bad at handling the pandemic.
A tourist from Wuhan, where the pandemic started.
China's crimes are spies.
China potentially conducting surveillance at our nation's ports.
China is bad at proposing a peace deal in the Ukraine crisis.
Frankly, we don't want to see a ceasefire right now.
The relentless China bashing in the Western media perfectly sums up how the US views China.
COVID and the Ukraine crisis are two perfect examples of toxic Western media rhetoric. But how and why China is bad is never explored. We're going to expose the tricks and trivia in news headlines that manipulate people into believing that China is bad.
Let's look at Ms. Wang's trick in her CNN video.
A tourist from Wuhan, where the pandemic started.
Did you catch it?
A tourist from Wuhan, where the pandemic started.
What she called the man from Wuhan, the propaganda was hidden in the voiceover.
In the voiceover, we hear Wang describe the tourist as someone from, quote, Wuhan, where the pandemic started. Trying to link Wuhan to the pandemic origin isn't some innocuous description, but a deliberate attempt to hammer in the idea that China is bad.
Why? First, WHO reiterates that nothing is certain about the origin of COVID so far. The scientific community has yet to arrive at any conclusions about where the pandemic started. Second, it fits into the xenophobia that already rampant in the American society, and Wang joins the club of Asian haters. Third, Wang used to complain that people don't want to talk to foreign journalists like her. Now that someone kindly accepts her interview, she chooses to defame the man's hometown. Would you feel comfortable being interviewed like this? Let us know in the comment.
The Western media is rewriting the narrative and competing for discursive power. This piece from Dave Kang at AP News is full of one-sided facts and biased conclusions.
Look at what he posted. So what went wrong? In short, everything. The pieces of evidence he collected does not help anyone understand the real situation that is happening in China, but instead serve his foregone conclusion: China is bad.
Another topic continuing to fester in the Western media is the Ukraine crisis. As war in Ukraine grinds on, China helps refuel Russian drone supplies. Read this New York Times article. Here we will do some tax analysis. NYT said China has shipped more than 12 million in drones to Russia.
Sounds like a lot of money, but do you know how much a US drone costs? The American MQ-9 Reaper, which crashed into the Black Sea, cost roughly 32 million. Yes, 32 million for one single military drone.
So is the 12 million drones really a problem? They're at best just harmless civilian drones.
Further down the page, we can see this picture showing a huge drone in a parade in Beijing.
That's deliberately misleading, making you believe that Beijing is sending these aircraft to Russia. However, none of the drones showcased in the parade are for sale. Taking a closer look at the pictures in the article, it is clear to see all of the photos are showing Ukrainian troops using drones. The New York Times has no photographic evidence of the drone that China has given to Russia and has to resort to manipulative tactics to support their fear-mongering. One of their quoted experts is co-representative, a man who has a clear conflict of interest, as he is a chief executive of the Canadian drone maker Pegasus, a direct competitor to the Chinese tech company DJI.
This article was released while the Chinese leader was visiting Russia.
What a perfect timing.
We talked about specific examples today, but the broader issue is the years-long propaganda network that expands far beyond COVID or Ukraine and pushes a negative narrative of China. We mentioned specific names today, but we are dealing with the issue, not attacking the person. What we intend to do is to help you gain more nuanced understanding of how the West reports on China.
20 years ago, the US illegally invaded Iraq by portraying an evil Iraq, selling the war in news headlines and on broadcast networks. No one was held responsible so far. 20 years later, the US war machine has not stopped. It has found a new target. Today, it is China. Tomorrow, it could be anyone.